I'm Robert Bergman, and you're watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Robert, and I'm Randy Hansen. In World News headlines today: Occupy Wall Street supporters nationwide march following Occupy Oakland crackdown, and Washington Post under fire for Occupy Wall Street coverage. Democratic Super Committee members propose to cut Medicare and Medicaid, and protesters disrupts budget deficit meeting, calls for end to war, and European leaders strike controversial debt relief deal for Greece, and NYPD maintains secret intelligent files on Muslims who changed their names, and ex-Goldman Sachs board member released on a $10 million bail amid insider trading charges, and Egyptian police officers get 8 years in prison for beating death that inspired the popular uprising, and Libyan officials claim Gaddafi's son wants to surrender. And Hillary Clinton welcomes Bahrain foreign minister in talks. And out of Argentina, 12 dirty war officials sentenced to life for human rights abuses. And Obama outlines student loan plan. And Obama's speech interrupted by Keystone XL tar sands oil pipeline protesters. And lawsuit revived against mining giant Rio Tinto for war crimes in Papua New Guinea. And House okays land swap to help Rio Tinto build massive Arizona copper mine, and Department of Interior places 20-year moratorium on uranium mining in Southwest. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, marches were held in Oakland, New York City, and other cities Wednesday night to protest Tuesday's violent crackdown in the Occupy Oakland movement. Many protesters expressed outrage over the shooting of Oakland protester Scott Olson, a 24-year-old Iraq War veteran whose skull was fractured Tuesday night when he was hit in the head by a projectile fired by police in Oakland. He is hospitalized in critical condition and is reportedly still unconscious. Video posted online shows a police officer threw a flash grenade at a group of protesters who attempted to care for Olson after he was shot. In New York City, hundreds of Occupy Wall Street demonstrators held an unpermitted march Wednesday night to show solidarity with Oakland. New York City police said they arrested about a dozen people. Patrick Bruner is an organizer for Occupy Wall Street and said, "Behind me, you can hear people chanting, 'New York is Oakland. Oakland is New York.' And this is because we firmly believe that this is a worldwide problem, that this is an American problem. It is not just a problem with New York City. It's not just a problem with Oakland. Police are violent everywhere. The system is broken everywhere." While the police crackdown of Occupy Oakland has made international news, Washington Post is coming under criticism in how it covered the story. On Wednesday, it ran a story titled "Protesters Wearing Out Their Welcome Nationwide." Above the photo was a photo of a police officer petting a cat. The caption read, "A police officer in Oakland, California pets a cat that was left behind by Wall Street protesters who were evicted from the grounds of City Hall." In news from Washington, Reuters is reporting Democratic lawmakers on the so-called Super Committee are proposing to make cuts to Medicare and Medicaid as part of a plan to slash the budget deficit by up to $3 trillion. The Democratic plan seeks around $400 billion in Medicare savings, with half coming in benefit cuts, the other half in cuts to health care providers. The Democratic proposal also reportedly identifies $100 billion in cuts to the Medicaid health care program for the poor. And on Wednesday, Leah Bolger of Veterans for Peace disrupted an open meeting of the Congressional Super Committee and said, "The American people want to tax the rich and end the wars. That's how we fix the deficit. And all this obfuscation with percentages of GDP, this is just trying to confuse the issue. The vast majority of the public want you to tax the rich and the wars. And we spend more on war commitments than on the rest of the world combined. And this history of this vast, grotesque spending on wars and the war machine has depleted the base of this economy. We would have enough money for housing and health care and everything that we want if we stop spending our money in this black hole of the military machine. It's very obvious. I speak for the 99%. End the wars and tax the rich." European leaders have struck a controversial deal to provide more debt relief for Greece. Under the deal, private banks and insurers will accept 50% loss on their Greek debt holdings in the latest bid to reduce Athens' massive debt load to sustainable levels. A new report by Associated Press has revealed that the New York City Police Department maintains secret intelligence files on Muslims who change their names to sound more traditionally American or who adopt Arabic names as a sign of their faith, while the department monitors anyone in the city who changes their names. Those whose names sound Arabic or might be from Muslim countries are subjected to extensive background checks that include reviewing travel records, criminal histories, business licenses, and immigration documents. Well, better safe than sorry. In banking news, former Goldman Sachs board member Rajat Gupta has been released on a $10 million bail after pleading not guilty to 6 charges of insider trading. He was charged Wednesday on 1 count of conspiracy to commit securities fraud and 5 counts of securities fraud in one of the biggest insider trading cases in history. And a pair of Egyptian police officers were sentenced Wednesday to 8 years in prison for beating death of a 28-year-old man. The 2010 killing of Khalid Said helped to spark the Egyptian revolution that ultimately toppled the regime of Hosni Mubarak. The officers were both charged with manslaughter. Members of Said's family argued the sentence was too light, while supporters of the officers reportedly attempted to attack prosecutors in the courtroom. And in news from Libya, an official from the National Transitional Council is claiming Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's fugitive son, Saif al-Islam, wants to surrender and turn himself in to the Hague War Crimes Court. The NTC is claiming former Libyan intelligence chief Abdullah N. el-Sanusi also wants to surrender, but both men are subject to arrest warrants from the International Criminal Court. Meanwhile, Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez said Wednesday he will not recognize the new rebel-led government in Libya. He said, "We don't recognize the government that they have installed. NATO has installed a government in Libya by force of bombs with genocide and assassination. They have murdered a president. No matter who the president was, or if you like him or anyone else like him, he was the president of Libya. They killed him and threw him into the desert. And beyond that, we are talking about some 50,000 dead. A true genocide, the destruction of a country." Secretary of State Hillary Clinton welcomed Bahraini Foreign Minister Sheikh Khalid bin Ahmed Al Khalifa to the State Department on Wednesday. And she said, "It's a pleasure once again for me to welcome my colleague and counterpart, the Foreign Minister of Bahrain. He's been in consultations with many officials of our government, members of Congress, others who care deeply about Bahrain and their important relationship. I'm looking forward to a wide-ranging, comprehensive discussion of our full agenda." Unquote. The meeting comes as a time when human rights groups are criticizing the Obama administration for its continued support of Bahrain despite the kingdom's recent deadly crackdown on anti-government protesters. Part of Wednesday's meeting focused on a planned $53 million U.S. arms sale to Bahrain that has been temporarily put on hold. State Department spokesperson Victoria Nuland defended the arms sale, saying it would bolster Manama's external defenses. And 12 former Argentine officials have been sentenced to life in prison for human rights abuses committed during Argentina's dirty war. The convicted included Alfredo Astiz, known as Argentina's Blonde Angel of Death. Astiz and other men convicted were accused of horrific crimes at the ESMA Naval Mechanics School, where about 5,000 dissidents were held and tortured between 76 and 83. Few of the captives survived. President Obama unveiled his plan Wednesday to make college loans more affordable and easier to repay for millions of former students. A key part of the plan will allow college graduates to cap their federal student loan repayments at 10% of their discretionary income, starting in January, 2 years before the cap was due to take effect under federal law. Obama outlined the plan during a speech at the University of Colorado in Denver, and he said, "And when a big chunk of every paycheck goes towards student loans instead of being spent on other things, that's not just tough for middle-class families. It's painful for the economy. It's harmful to our recovery because that money is not going to help business grow." Unquote. Vote for me. Oh, well, I added that. During his speech in Denver, President Obama was interrupted by protesters calling on him to block the proposed Keystone XL tar sands oil pipeline. Barack Obama responded, "All right, thank you guys. We're looking at it right now. No decision has been made, and I know you're deep concerned about it, so we will address it." Protesters, who also held up a banner reading "Stop the Keystone Pipeline Project," were then removed from Obama's event. A U.S. federal appeals court has revived a lawsuit accusing mining giant Rio Tinto of committing genocide and war crimes in Papua New Guinea, where it once ran one of the world's largest copper and gold mines. In their lawsuit, current and former residents of the island, Bougainville, claimed that Rio Tinto disseminated the island and forced native workers to live in slave-like conditions. In Washington, lawmakers in the Republican-controlled House have approved a federal land swap Wednesday that would clear the way for mining giant Rio Tinto to create North America's largest copper mine in Arizona. The swap would trade 2,400 acres of federal forest land in southeastern Arizona for about 5,300 acres of environmental sensitive land controlled by a subsidiary of Rio Tinto. Federal forest is thought to contain billions of dollars worth of high-grade copper. Under current law, the mining company will not have to pay any royalties to the U.S. government for the mineral rights. A U.S. federal appeals court has revived a lawsuit accusing Rio Tinto of committing genocide and war crimes in Papua New Guinea, where it once ran one of the largest copper and gold mines there, which was part of the other story too. I guess they're related. Conservation groups are praising that U.S. Department of Interior's decision to place a 20-year moratorium on new uranium mining near the Grand Canyon National Park and Lake Mead. The decision prevents only new mining claims. And that's it today for our world news. Now, another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. You guessed it, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter and pictures in the blotter, not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Tuesday. 9:59 a.m. Caller from the 400 block of Kate Hayes Street reported fraudulent charges on a bank account. And 1:54 p.m. Caller from 100 block of Mill Street reported two boys threatening to assault patrons who were gone when officers arrived. And 6:31 p.m. Caller from 800 block of Sutton Way reported two vehicles' tires had been slashed. And 10:56 p.m. Caller from Sutton Way reported theft of a Makita drill worth $320 from a truck. And Wednesday, 2:17 a.m. A caller from 300 block of Mill Street reported physical fight. No one was located. In Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Tuesday, 8:30 a.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Torrey Pines Drive reported theft of a wallet from a truck. I leave my wallet in the truck, don't you? 8:44 a.m., a caller from Lake Vera Purdon and Exler Ditch Camp Roads reported the theft of mail. 8:58 a.m., a woman from 11,000 block of Everness Way reported theft of GPS, iPod, and camera from an unlocked vehicle. Notice the word unlocked. 9:19 a.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Lakeshore North reported theft of a backpack from an unlocked vehicle. At 9:24 a.m., a caller from 24,000 block of Camellia Way reported theft of a laptop, cell phone, and GPS and prescription medicines. 12:23 p.m., a caller from 24,000 block of Camellia Way reported theft of $40 in items from a vehicle. And 1:30 p.m., a caller from 18,000 block of Lake Forest Drive reported theft of a credit card. And 3:01 p.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Inverness Way reported an attempted burglary to a vehicle. And 4:15 p.m., a caller from 13,000 block of Torrey Pines Drive reported a vehicle burglary with nothing taken. And 4:19 p.m., a woman from 12,000 block of Elm Court reported her locked vehicle was broken into last night. A flashlight was left behind in the driveway. And 4:55 p.m., caller from 11,000 block of Sunrise Lane reported a possible forgery. And 5:43 p.m., a man from 10,000 block of Cedar Avenue reported a person possibly stole a Nintendo Wii. At 5:49 p.m., a woman reported a vehicle tailgated her and ran her off the road at Brunswick and Brunswick Pines Road. At 6:31 p.m., a be on the lookout advisory was issued for a non-custodial parent possibly seeking to kidnap two boys in North San Juan. At 6:49 p.m., a man from Robin Avenue reported someone possibly rigged his wife's barbecue to malfunction and cause injury. He was referred to his physician for a medication adjustment. 9:22 p.m., a woman from 19,000 block of Bucks Ridge Road reported a man shot at her. Be on the lookout advisory was issued. And Wednesday, 12:15 a.m., a caller from 15,000 block of Sunny Hill Lane reported several blasts from an air horn. And 1:57 a.m., a woman from 15,000 block of Gold Cone Drive reported a fight in her vehicle. The other party had left on foot, and the woman was okay. And 6:16 a.m., a caller from 12,000 block of Greensfields Way reported a dog howling in pain, but nothing was located. Nevada City Police Department on Tuesday, 5:21 p.m., a caller from Pioneer Park reported a man urinating behind the band shell. And 6:14 p.m., a caller from Broad and Sacramento Streets reported a disturbance. And 8:29 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Broad Street reported an assault, but the victim did not want a report. And that's it for the Police Blotter today. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's local news headlines, judge dismisses case against former sheriff's office employee, and teen sentenced to 5 years probation in cattle drive case. In our first local story, written by Liz Keller of the Union, a Nevada County Superior Court judge has dismissed the case against a woman accused of mishandling money from the Nevada County Sheriff's Office. Yvonne Davida Evans, a former accounting assistant with the Sheriff's Office, was facing 4 misdemeanor counts of withholding fines after more than $13,000 was discovered to be missing from jail funds. And Evans got more good news this week after winning an appeal for unemployment benefits. Evans, who had been released from employment by the Sheriff's Office several months ago, was awarded back pay, said her husband, Lieutenant Bill Evans. But she is now out of a job, and this is all due to a tall tale told by a vindictive, jealous ex-husband, he said. My career has also been destroyed because of it. Bill Evans is currently on administrative leave and is set to retire at the end of the year. Yvonne is 100% innocent of any theft charges, he said. She never stole anything in her life. She has the cleanest soul of anyone I've ever met, and everyone who really knows her knows that. The Sheriff's Office received a tip of alleged embezzlement by Evans in September 2010. Alleged crime dated back to 2006 and involved receiving financial forfeitures and fines and failing to deposit them within a legally mandated 30-day period. Sheriff Keith Royal said the money was found to be missing, and a forensic auditor found late deposits, double invoicing, and other discrepancies. Evans' attorney, Greg Klein, argued it was too late to file charges against her, citing a 1-year statute of limitations for misdemeanors. Some felony misdemeanor wobbler offenses allow for filing of charges within 1 year of a discovery of a crime, which was the argument presented by Deputy District Attorney Jamie Hodgkinson. But Judge Candace Heidelberger did not find the charges against Evans fell within the definition and dismissed the case. It is vaguely worded statute. Assistant District Attorney Anna Ferguson said, "We were arguing for an exception to the 1 year, but the court didn't see it our way. The fact they pursued the whole matter was foolish to start with," Klein said. "The court did what the court should have done." According to Klein, the investigation of Evans stemmed from a tip by ex-husband Keith Cantrell. Klein also has suggested the charges were retaliation for filing a sexual harassment complaint against then Undersheriff Richard Kimball. The investigation of Evans is ongoing. Additional felony charges are expected to be filed, Sheriff Detective Bob Jacobs said last week. "If they had something, wouldn't they have filed it by now?" asked Klein. "My client is not a thief. That was a huge waste of resources. This never should have happened." In another Liz Keller story out of the Union, and out of Donnerville, Camptonville man has been sentenced to 5 years probation, no additional time in jail, after he hit several cattle and ran over a cattle dog, Maggie, during the annual Rita Ranch cattle drive. Justin Philip Lombardo Barton, 19, has pled no contest to felony animal cruelty, felony hit and run, and after striking several cows, running over Maggie the cattle dog, and threatening to hit several horseback riders in June. Sierra County Superior Court Judge John Kennelly sentenced Lombardo Barton to 122 days in county jail with 122 days credit for time served, 5 years supervised probation. Lombardo Barton was driving past an annual cattle drive by the Rita Ranch on June 19th when the ranch's cattle are driven from Pike to the high country and was almost through the herd when he whipped the steering wheel to the right and gunned it, hitting several cattle. He also drove his Jeep towards several horseback riders, then ran over Maggie. The Jeep nearly severed the cattle dog's leg and caused severe internal injuries that required more than 4 hours in surgery. Last month, the dog was reported by her owner to be back on light duty. Lombardo Barton had claimed during an arrest interview that he didn't mean to hit the cows, and that he drove around the horseback riders to escape, and that he didn't know he had hit the dog until he read about it in the newspaper. He did not speak during his sentencing Wednesday and declined to comment afterward. The teen's court-appointed defense attorney, Jeffrey Cunnin, argued against a probation condition that he be restricted from having a medical marijuana recommendation. "There's no nexus to the case," Cunnin said. "It's purely speculative. There's no evidence that he was under the influence. Sierra County District Attorney Larry Allen argued the medical marijuana restriction would be in Lombardo Barton's best interest, but the judge sided with Coonan. Kennelly also chose not to impose community service as a condition of probation, saying Lombardo Barton would be better served spending the time finding employment. "I want this defendant to work," he said, telling Lombardo Barton, "I'll be tracking that. There's no reason you shouldn't be working." Lombardo Barton will be subject to search and seizure terms and undergo counseling as directed by probation. He faces fines of $3,599, although $1,349 of that was stayed by the judge. A restitution hearing was set for January 11th. Kennelly also set a hearing to review Lombardo Barton's employment status at that time. And that's it today. We'll talk to you Monday. Have a good weekend. Christopher's Old World Deli and Catering Company has brought its delicious food and service downtown Grass Valley. Do you like desserts? They got them. You like international style lunches? They got them. Christopher's Deli and Catering for parties, get-togethers, weddings, or whatever. Open 7 days a week. Bellstar Shop is a one-of-a-kind place you will find on the Ridge. Steaming hot coffee and a cool atmosphere with healthy food, organic desserts, and meals available. Belle and her smile will not be forgotten the first time you visit. That's it for local news today. GVTV News would like to thank Associated Press, Reuters, Amy Goodman, the Union, and others for the sourcing of our news, and you for watching. Don't forget, we broadcast 3 times a day on public access NCTV, Comcast Cable Channel 11, and Suddenlink Channel 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra, 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 7:30 p.m., Monday through Friday.